Hi Flosstube. This is the next episode of Behind the Scenes, and really what I want to talk about is my plans for 2024. There is a lot going on. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of travel, so we'll be seeing a lot of those episodes. I have some works in progress to talk to you about, as well as my plans for embroideries that I'm going to be doing during the year. So let's start with my whip. I have been working on this fall. This is a little project over 2 on 40 count linen with silk. It is going to be a free project coming up in my teaching website. I'm also going to be working it over 1 in 10 stitch. This one right here is over 2 with a bunch of specialty stitches. And then of course the over 1 will be, just in 10 stitch. But the purpose of this ornament is actually to show some ways of finishing off the edges with really cool passementerie threads that I've been developing for many years. So a couple years ago, I did an ornament, a blackwork ornament with some silk pearl edging. And I know many people who watch Flosstube have seen Katie's recent pearl work also on the edge of an ornament and gotten excited about that. That's wonderful. And I'm going to go the next level and use threads like facette, silk facette, and silk cartisan to edge these ornaments, as well as silk pearls, but in a different way. So watch out for that. Hopefully by the end of January, I'll be done stitching this one and start stitching the next one. So that's what I've been doing on airplanes, actually. A little hard these days. I used to be able to stitch well on airplanes, but I don't know, with the advent of the videos in it, everybody wants to pull down the shades, and so you just can't get as much stitching done as you used to on an airplane. It used to be a great place for stitching. I want to give you a preview of some of the travels with Tricia that are up and coming. So let's see. I have one coming up on the Four Seasons Casket, which is somewhere over here on my shoulder, on the other side of my shoulder here. So I'll be giving a tour of that, the design process, about how I went about designing it, and showing you some really up-close pictures of the embroidery that are on the thing. I think during this segment I'm going to overlay some pictures so you can actually see some of the things that are upcoming. So hopefully you'll come back, maybe subscribe to the channel so that you know when some of these episodes are coming up. There'll be an episode showing some haul that I got, a Nuremberg sampler that I want to talk about. And that leads into a trip to Germany that I took in December. It was kind of fortuitous. I was already going to be there, and I had all of a sudden purchased 2 German samplers. I got a bunch of information, as I talked about Clara, and I was like, oh my God, I got to follow this up. I rapidly sent out a whole bunch of inquiries and asking for, could I come to the study room and see things? And oh my God, everybody said yes. I was shocked because I really did not give them very much notice, and I'm really sorry for that. But they were so welcoming and so wonderful at the museums that I visited. So we're going to be going to see Clara's dollhouse, which is really cool and exciting, and it's enormous. And it's part of a larger tradition of dollhouses in the 17th century for Nuremberg girls. Wonderful museum if you have a chance to go see it, especially if you're into miniatures. Then we're going to be going to some of the house museums that are related to the samplers that have already been identified for the girls. Clara included, and I had the opportunity to visit the German National Museum and see more Nuremberg samplers, and I'll be able to show you 1 or 2 of them in an episode on Nuremberg samplers. But also at the German National Museum are many galleries where there's absolutely gorgeous embroideries on display, folk embroideries, German folk embroideries, as well as more of your traditional 18th century gowns and beautiful, just drool kind of level stuff. And I will be bringing pictures of that in a few episodes. I also visited the Bavarian National Museum in Munich, which also had a spectacular series of embroideries on display. Very dark room, but I had bought a new camera, and so I was able to get really great stuff. They have on display there some exquisite silk velvets with gold thread embroidery on it, as well as some Netherlandish material and some garments with gold and silver laces on it. It just drool. So I'll be taking you through those. I may actually do an episode on tapestries. And I was thinking of titling it Tapestries Aren't as Yucky as I Thought, because I've never really been into tapestries, I have to admit. But that's probably because I wasn't seeing the good stuff. And I had the opportunity, I've been doing a little work with Lizzie Cleveland, who is a tapestry expert at the Metropolitan, because we worked on the Tudors exhibition that was last year. I was working on a piece in the exhibition. And I was looking over on the side there going, well, that's kind of cool. I didn't know tapestries could look like that, meaning look really bright and heavy with gold thread. Well, not a surprise, but in Germany, there's some outstanding examples. So I may just do a Why Tapestries Aren't Yucky episode if anybody's interested in that. And then I come back to the United States here, and there was recently, just before Christmas, the 50th anniversary of the Textile Conservation Department at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. And I'm on the visiting board there. So I went down for the hoo-ha and had an opportunity to do some filming in the galleries, as well as I was working in the department for the day with an X-ray machine I had gotten them, getting it all set up, do some elemental analysis. But in the galleries, I take a tour of the American samplers. They have American samplers from the Boston area, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, all on display in a gallery, and it's kind of tucked away. It's not easy to find. So this might be your opportunity to see what was on the display on that particular day. I also go into the British galleries, into my favorite area of 17th century material, and show you some needle lace material, some absolutely gorgeous gold thread embroidery, you know, that kind of Elizabethan Jacobean period of time. And again, new camera, and it did amazing things with a new telephoto. So you'll be excited to see those embroideries. We go back to England, and I have an episode to post on the Ashmolean Museum. I have an interview with Mary Brooks, who was the guest curator of several exhibitions on 17th century embroidery at the Ashmolean Museum, and she and I are going to discuss the Feller collection and what an amazing gift to the embroidery world Michael and Elizabeth Feller gave a couple years ago. And so we're gonna talk about that. I also have a pilgrimage coming up very soon to Martha Edlin, my favorite subject, I think, at the moment. Martha did a suite of embroidery, a casket, a jewelry box, 2 samplers, and a whole bunch of little things that go inside. And several of them are on display in a corner of the British Galleries at the Victoria and Albert Museum. Very popular there. And I took a pilgrimage not just to see the embroideries, but as I told you just a little bit, or maybe I haven't, have I told you this yet? All right, I have a little bit of haul. I was able, through research, to find a coin that her husband minted as a London trade token in 1667. And on it was information that led me to a location that then led me to 100 primary source documents, including Martha's own words. What she was saying right there on paper. And to link that up, you know, this is the first time I've been able to go back to see her home area, to see the town she grew up in, to see where she's buried, etc. And then also to go see her embroideries again after essentially figuring out her entire life story. And I'll be talking about that in that episode. But once you really know somebody and then you look at their embroideries, I sat there on the floor at the Victoria and Albert Museum and I stared at her pieces and how they were arranged in the case, and all of a sudden some things hit me. It was kind of because I knew Martha at that point, and I then therefore could kind of extrapolate to who she was as a girl, as a teenage girl. And I was like, oh my God, how have I not seen this before? How has other people not seen this before? So we'll talk about that. And then I will reveal something very special about Martha. That's something that's upcoming. Then we come back to the United States, and we have a whole bunch of really good episodes coming up. I have a lot of people coming to see me, which is really fun, important people in the sampler world. We'll be going to the MFA to visit the German samplers, the Nuremberg samplers there with the curator. I also will be, I have Lynn Anderson, who is from the Sampler Consortium and the Archive Project, archiving all of the American samplers across the United States, state-by-state projects. And Lynn will be visiting, and I'll interview her about that particular work. That's an amazing project. They've been able to uncover thousands of samplers we didn't know about, which really brings women's history up to the fore. Lynn and I will be going with, I think, with the curator at the MFA to visit Concord, Massachusetts, where there is a sampler exhibit right now, and we'll be filming there. One of the extra things I'll be doing is talking to Lynn about her work with Malaya, and I don't have her last name, I'll put it down below here, who is an expert who's just finished her PhD on Mexican samplers in Mexico. And they have been writing an article together, and Lynn will be looking at the Mexican samplers at the MFA with me and the curator. And so that will be a lot of fun to take a look at a whole other genre of samplers and hear about the work that the two of them have been doing together. And I really hope Malaya's, that her dissertation gets translated to English, because I've heard some of the information that she has found, and it blows me away, answers so many questions about embroidery of earlier periods. I've been keeping my mouth zipped because it's for her to release all of this great information. I can't wait until it comes out and is public, because good stuff, really good stuff. So as you can see, there is a lot going on in the Travels with Tricia. So I hope you've enjoyed some of the photographs I was able to put over all of that talk about some of the things we'll be seeing. If you like that, you might want to subscribe to the channel so you're alerted of all these wonderful tours that I'll be doing with you in my backpack coming up soon. So let me talk about some of the embroideries that I'm going to be doing myself this year. Two of them are going to be about caskets like this size right here. When Richard was finishing up all of the cabinets for me, he said it was really hard for them to do these big cabinets. It's a lot of work and really kind of grueling to put these together. They would do 10 at a time. So he said, could he make me some extras of these? And I went, oh no, please don't. Of course so, of course, yes, you can make me extras of these. So I have another 2 classes coming up. They're small classes, maybe 20, 30, 40 people each. But you know, if there's only about 30 of these left of the Harmony with Nature casket, and so these are just opportunities for something different. So let me tell you about one of the caskets that I'm going to do. I'm going to be working on one that's really something that I really wanted to do badly for myself. I'll show you a picture of one that's in the National Trust. It's all done with silk pearls around the outside, except that the silk pearls are frosted. That means that not only is the wire wrapped with silk made into a spiral, but before it's made into the spiral, it's also wrapped with a silver or gold strip. So that when it's wrapped into the spiral, it sparkles. And that is really beautiful. Now, most of them don't sparkle because over the years, 400 years, the copper wire has degraded and corroded a little bit, and so it has this dusty kind of gray-greenish residue on the silk pearl from hundreds of years of exposure. And so people don't really realize that it's this beautiful, beautiful material. And I happen to have a piece of it right here behind me. This is a piece of silver silk pearl work. And I'm going to take it down in the magic of television and show you. So here you can see the silk pearl work all over it. And I don't know, maybe you can see a little bit of the glittering to it. I'll take some really close-up pictures of it, but it's all these different colors, except they have a silver glitter to them. It's like somebody literally took glitter and just threw it all over the piece. And I have wanted that thread for a very long time. Back in 2009, Bill Barnes made me a sample, and I just fell in love with it. I'm like, I've got to have it. But, times went on, and he was retiring, and we didn't get to it. And I finally got Benton & Johnson to make it for me, and it's taken about 3 years, because, it adds extra steps to the process to make. And so it's taken about 3 years to get, once they finally were going to make it for me, and to make enough as well. So that was in the latest frostings box. Let me put this back up right now. So here I have some of that really cool, I don't know if you can see it, but really cool glittery silk pearl. And I have it in quite a few colors now. And I will show some close pictures of it here's some pink. The blue is absolutely gorgeous, and green. But anyways, I have it in a lot of colors, and I want to make a really glittery casket. So I've been working with Noah Caney, who is an architect and graphic designer, and has worked with me on tons of my pieces to try to design something that would really highlight this kind of thread. It really takes large leaves and large flowers to really highlight the thread well. So we started with a big vase on the top with some animals on the side, and then some fantastical flowers on the bottom of it. And I loved what he did with the mounds for the animal, and I said, hey, I think we need to do all of these flowers with mounds, and maybe some of these realistic flowers need to be swapped out because they might be too hard to render well with the silk-wrapped pearl. So he did more, and also started to work on the friezes for me, so that now all of the flowers come out of nice mounds, so that the mounds will be a nice ground all the way around the casket. And I am really looking forward to working this piece. Here you can see the entire design on the screen, and it'll be really fun to contrast the bodies of the animals, probably in a matte color. And then all of the leaves and the flowers will be all shiny and glittery. Probably we'll use some like silk checks for the ground. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. There'll be gold outlines all over it, and I probably, probably gonna add spangles to it as well, because I might as well add to the glitter. But I'm really looking forward to this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun to embroider. And if about 20 or 40 people want to come along with me for the ride and do it themselves, they are welcome to do it. Maybe it's a stitch along, not sure. But, people can contact me if they're interested, or it might end up as a small class in the future. The other piece that I'm going to work on is a tent stitch casket. And I won't show you all the design work that went into this right now. I think I'll do that when I show it as a work in progress. But I can show you what the piece will look like at the moment. It's going to have one panel which has this really cool little shepherd scene on it. It'll be a lot like the tent stitch casket on this side of me over here in terms of coloration. That might be the back. Then the front is likely going to be two of the four elements. Those are air, fire, water, and earth, and with the escutcheon in the middle there. This is fire, and this is air. And then on the top of it, I'm trying to decide, we were working on different designs for the top. That was actually the toughest to get right. And we've come up with two different designs, and now I have to choose. And that's the problem, is I have to choose. I can't embroider both and put them on there. So, you know, maybe in the comments you can help me choose the fountain or no fountain. No, I'm sorry. Fountain or no fountain. And I'm not sure. I like them both a lot. I really like the fact that on this one right here, we have the castles on either side of the family. I mean, of the couple, because, you know, you could do it in like brick color and red, and it would just be really, really pretty. But then the large castle in the middle with the interesting fountain also is a good one. So I'm having a real hard time. I probably will have to stitch the smaller panels first in 10 stitch and then see where it leads me for the top panel. But those are two big projects. They will take the whole year to work. I think the 10 stitch one will also be a small class for, you know, people who are interested in doing one of the small rectangular caskets as a class. I also have a piece that I've designed, which is going to be an American-like sampler using crinkle silk, and I will do an episode at some point showing that particular piece in process, and I will show the inspiration for it, which is a couple pieces that I own in crinkle silk, which is a truly American sampler thing, East Coast, around the Revolutionary War to early 1800. Was something that was material that was used, and I just found another piece that matches one of another piece I have, and I'm gonna get it on Saturday, and I'll have to do an episode and show you what crinkle silk is. All right, so those are my plans for 2024. I probably will do some more trips, visit some more museums. I will be working really hard to get my arms around this entire German sampler question. And I probably will be working on some papers and maybe even a book. So if you are interested in following along with what's going on, please subscribe. I am filming right now. I just need to say the end part. Well, my family just walked in while I was recording, so ignore all the noises of the teenage boys upstairs and my husband.